course.
You're not muted, so when this kicks in, it kicks in.
And good evening. Welcome to another edition of Coach's Corner here on the Highliner Activity Network, live from the Hack on this Wednesday evening, the first Wednesday in November. We're going to start things out with volleyball, and Coach Rebecca Erickson joining us from the Highliners. Postseason's here now, Coach.
It is.
Hard to believe, though.
It is. It went fast.
Those 30 matches you guys have had this year, you look back to August when you had the crossover to last night. It's been an interesting year. I mean, you've seen some highs and lows with this team, haven't you?
It's been a roller coaster. A lot of highs and a lot of lows.
Last night, Devil's Lake came in a sweep, but that first set, it proves that you can't take teams for granted, and Devil's Lake came in ready to play.
Yeah, we made a lot of errors, though. I think at one point we had 6 hitting errors, I'd say, maybe. Yeah, probably about 6 hitting errors, and 3 of them were in a row. And it's just we gave them the points, and we got into a timeout, and I just said, like, hey, can't give them the points. We need to do our job, take care of our side of the net. Let's get it over with. And then, yeah. They played great defense, though.
Yeah.
They really, the second and third set, they really picked up their defense.
The second and third sets winning a little bit more comfortably, if you will, than by 3. What was the difference? Was it finding those open spots? What was kind of the difference in sets 2 and 3?
I think we were consistent offensively. Jovi had an amazing night. She had 18 kills, 2 errors, so she played great for us, and they couldn't pick up her ball, and that really helped us, obviously. And then just serve receive, everything was just going the way we needed it to go, and we were just doing what we were supposed to do.
When you have someone like Joey Borg who has that kind of a night, so now you're really relying on your Drew and Bryn, your 2 setters, to get her the ball. They were doing a good job too, getting her in good position.
Right. Yep. And I think it helped too that Devils Lake didn't make the adjustments that they needed to make, because we even came out of a timeout and I said, hey, they're going to make this adjustment. You need to switch it up and go here. And she went there, and then it didn't work, so she just kept going back to hard cross, and she scored there, so it worked, and she just kept doing it all night long.
Serve receive again, and defense in particular, not so much serve receive, but because I think I had her for a double-double, because I think she had 12 digs last night, and of course Katie with about 14 digs, but are you still seeing that real consistency from your back row?
Yeah, I would say for the most part. I think where we're struggling right now is at our block. Especially when we play these higher level teams that we've had in the past, if we are able to slow down the ball, it helps our defense significantly. But if we're not getting touches on the block, we don't get any touches on defense.
Getting that wall set up early, is that a key to that?
Yes, and making sure our middles get in and close the block. If they're late, it creates a hole, defense isn't where they need to be, we're not able to pick those balls up.
This might be a hard question, but what makes a good blocker? Not so much jumping ability, but
no, just
positioning,
timing, I would say.
Okay.
Making sure that they're there at the right time. I mean, sometimes they are early. They have to wait a little bit.
Yeah.
And then the other thing, too, is, like, people don't realize your pins play a big role in it. They set the block half the time. So if they're not setting the block in the right spot, you're not going to get blocked.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Well, now we got Fargo South here on Saturday, and I'm kind of interested that all the 4 play-ins aren't on the same night, that they're kind of different, which I kind of scratched my head. We have a couple tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm not sure why they did that.
No, that's, the EDC does whatever. I don't know. Sometimes I wonder. But we'll worry about Fargo South because that's what we have, and we're the last one of the 4 on Saturday. Now, we talked about this last week. You guys played well there, lost in 5, but you played well there. What have you picked up in these 2 matches that you can go into the 3rd match now when you face them again?
I think it's kind of hard to say because we did not play anywhere close to our potential at home. Our outside struggled. We struggled with serve receive. So I can't pinpoint, like, we need to do this, and if we do this, we will win.
Right.
We need to take care of our side of the net. And if we do everything right on our side of the net, I think we will be successful. But if we can't take care of our side of the net, we're not going to be able to win. So, I mean, they do have a couple big hitters, yes, but so do we. And if we can actually execute and get those kills that we need, I think we'll be fine. But we just need to make sure we have everything on at the same time. And one thing we talked about today in our meeting was making sure our outsides, we had both of them off at the same time at home. If one's struggling, I need one to pick up the slack on the other end. So
And again, you just basically mentioned that serve receive. That's going to be huge. If you're going to have your offense, getting that offense, you got to get that first pass.
Right. Yep. And they're coming off of a very close win last night.
Yeah.
They took Fargo North to 5, and that's something I think Fargo North never expected. Looking at the season, I would have never expected that.
Right.
And so, I mean, we do have that. They have that momentum coming into the game on Saturday, but it's also, Coca said it, it's also very hard to beat a team 3 times in a row.
Right.
So,
and it was 15-13, I think, in the 5th set in that match with Fargo North last night.
It was.
So it's one of those that could break either way. They could have a Fargo North hangover, or they could be confident that they're playing well. And really, volleyball is a momentum thing. If you can get that momentum early on, that's a big key for you, isn't it?
Right, yes. And I feel that we played very well. Regardless of the team that was on the other side of the net, I feel like we took care of our side of the net yesterday. We had a couple lows, but even when we had those lows, it wasn't more than 3 points.
Right.
We were able to come back and take care of it.
Well, of course, last night when you have your last home match, that means senior night, you had 3, and only 3 seniors, so that's the good news. Only 3 seniors on the team, but the bad news is 3 important seniors with Addie, Drew, and Hadley, and they've been with you your entire time here in Valley City. What do these 3 have meant to you as a group?
You know, they all 3 bring something different to the court every single day. Hadley's quiet, but she can still go out and get the job done. Drew's a little spitfire. She every day at practice, can I be a libero? Can I be a hitter? And then you have Addie, who she does what I need her to do in crunch time. So, and you know, them graduating, we're obviously losing a setter and we're losing our 2 starting middles.
Yeah.
So it's huge for us. And it's going to be big shoes to fill next year, but I think we have people that can step up and do it. It's just going to be hard having them not here. It's
those intangibles, the stuff maybe off the court,
right?
That you lose when you lose 3 seniors. That you have the rah-rahs and maybe get after some of their teammates if they have to get after them.
You know, I don't really see that side of these 3.
Yeah.
They're just the gentle ones.
Right, they're the quiet leaders.
Lead
by example.
Yep.
And not sit there and, hey, come on, get going. You got to get back into it. Well, Coach, I do appreciate it. And again, hopefully we're still talking again next week. You get through, we'll worry about Fargo South here on Saturday.
That's right, 1 game at a time.
And that's the big one. And that'll be 6 o'clock start time, I believe is what I saw on Saturday. And that'll be in Fargo at Fargo South Dome. So let's get a lot of blue and white in Fargo here on Saturday night.
Hopefully.
And get that, try to take that home crowd away from South High. All right. Well, Coach, again, appreciate it. Good luck here on Saturday.
Thank you.
You bet. That is Coach Rebecca Erickson joining us from the Highlander volleyball team. We'll step aside. We'll be back with more of our Coach's Corner here from the Hack on the Highlander Activity Network. Back here on Coach's Corner on the Highlander Activity Network here on this first Wednesday in November. Well, we just were talking volleyball. Their postseason starts on Saturday. Cross country's postseason and season wrapped up here last Saturday. Coach Deb Belke joining us from Highlander Cross Country, and rather chilly on Saturday at the state meet in Jamestown.
Yeah, the conditions weren't ideal, but you know everybody had the same meet. But the tough part was the footing.
Yeah.
You know, with being ice out there and muddy and slippery, that was the hardest part. You know, and that added on to everybody's time. So you know, on Saturday we didn't race for time; it was just winning the day.
Right, and because I noticed when looking at scores. Granted, we had one PR from Valley City with Tricia, but a lot of times we're way off what a lot of these runners are used to, and the conditions probably reflected that.
Right. It was, I think, anywhere from about 10 seconds to 15 seconds a mile that was added on to it because you really had to be careful with your footing.
Mm-hmm. Well, no, Reagan Berg finished second behind Jocelyn Schiller from Grand Forks Red River. About 4 seconds, I think, was the differential, 3.9 seconds in that. What kind of a race did you feel that she ran here on Saturday?
Oh, she ran really well. She was in the lead for the majority of the time, and then she took a pretty good spill and came across the finish line pretty muddy, but she got up, she worked hard, and that's what happens during the day. I think when the race started, when I was looking at like times and just athletes themselves, I was looking at anywhere from about 7 to 10 girls that could have won the race. Yeah. So it was supposed to be the best race of the state, and it came down to that. So it was a good race. I feel that she ran very well.
Schiller, did she maybe pull away maybe the last 300-400 yards? Because they were fairly close for the most part. Yeah. It just looked like Jocelyn might have just had that little extra right at the end.
Yeah, I think when Reagan fell and played catch up for some time, and that takes a little bit out of you, but. Yeah. She just pulled away, and like I said, either one of them at that point could have pulled away because they've beaten each other, they've raced against each other. It was just her day to cross first.
But at the end of the day, a second place finish, but also senior athlete for Reagan. And how special is that for her to get named that?
Yes, everybody says, well, she got second, but she's the top state getter ever since we started cross country for girls in Valley City, like 45 years. And to get that special award.
We have a guest on the show.
To get that award is very special because it is a coach's choice.
Right. Yes.
It's not voted on by the media. It's by the coaches in the state of North Dakota. Right. So that's huge, and it covers her performance for the entire year. They watch, coaches watch, and that's who they chose, and that's pretty special.
Well, like you told us last week, all conference and all state is not a seasonal thing. That comes down to one race. So yes, she gets all state, but the senior athlete of the year, that was based on her entire body of work.
Right. It's kind of a unique sport that you can run all year long and then maybe get injured or have the flu on race day, and that will hold you out of being all state. Yeah. But it's how you finish. The top 20 finishing will make you all state or all conference.
Well, you look at our list, and there was 174 runners that ran here on the girls, 181 that ran for the boys, and Brindley, Greta Govan, Cadence, Tricia, as I mentioned, she had a personal best.
Yeah, one of the biggest goals that we had as a team was to beat Shanley. And that's because we kind of are comparable to them. Mm-hmm. And so that was our goal. And then at EDC, we got edged out by them. And then we did beat them we ended up 9th, and Shanley ended up 10th. So that kind of made our day too. But Tricia came in big. She knocked 18 seconds off her PR, which is kind of unheard of on that course, on those conditions. But she came up big at the end and came in strong. And the other girls all ran very well. I mean, I guess I have really nothing to complain about. They run hard, and that's all you can ask.
And you look on the boys' side, again, 181 runners on the boys' side. And looked like we were all grouped kind of together, all 5 of them.
Yeah, they kind of ran, it seemed like in a pack, not on purpose, but that's basically their times, anywhere from that, that 18-minute that Corbin will run up to that 20-minute time period. As like Simon and Elijah and Jack gets older, they're only freshmen and 7th grader. As they get older with boys, they get so much stronger. So we're looking for some really good things from them over the next year or so.
And as when we talk about at the end of the year, you talk about your seniors, just two, one boy and one girl on this team. So a lot of talent coming back next season for the Highlanders.
Yeah, those two will be definitely missed, but they've gotten the most out of their high school career. Both of them ran all 6 meets or all 6 states.
Yeah.
And a really kind of cool award for Reagan too was we give out no excuses awards, and that's for your perfect attendance. You don't miss a meet or a practice all year, and it's right around the 65 practices and meets. And Reagan hadn't missed one for 6 years. So she had perfect attendance for all 6 years, and we have a couple more that are working their way up there. But to be that dedicated must mean she really enjoys it and she works hard for it.
Monday night you had your awards night, and you mentioned the no excuses, and quite a few of the runners got their T-shirts and got their no excuses award, and like you said, we're talking about the youth. Simon Trapp, 7th grader. You had mentioned it a couple of months ago, the only 7th grader that ran 5K, or one of 5 in the state. Just overall, Deb, out of your youth, what are you looking at for some of these young kids and how they can progress over the next year or two?
We ended up having 6 7th graders, 6 7th graders. And as a 7th grader, you try to figure out the program because as they come in from 6th grade to 7th grade, I don't really push them a whole lot. But Simon had been running some 5Ks in the Fargo, 5Ks, and he's done that when he was younger, so he was a little bit more advanced than the rest. But now they've figured it out, and now I can really anticipate that they'll be running on their own, and they'll do stuff in the summertime and come in, prepared with that base mileage so that you can start working with it.
And I think Trevor and Jack on the boys' side named for captains for next year, and Jack won't be a sophomore.
Right.
But what does that mean or say about him and just how and maybe as a leader and only in his 3rd year as a runner?
Jack has really matured over the last year, going through becoming a stronger runner. It kind of started last year for track. He ran a lot of times he would run like in the high school mile, understanding that he's running against juniors and seniors. And then, like I always told him, I said, someday you're going to be that runner up there. But right now, we just go by time. And he really bought into it, and he was pumped. He might have been the last one crossing the finish line, but he was pumped because every time his time would get a little bit better just by competing hard. And he's a kid that you'll see all summer long running around. If you see a high school boy running around, it's usually Jack.
It's going to be Jack.
Yeah.
And on Corbin, both Corbin and Reagan, the 2 seniors, got most valuable runners this year, and most improved. Elijah and I think Tricia for the girls.
Yep.
How did they improve from last year to this year?
Well, Elijah never ran varsity for us last year, and now he was. Sometimes he was our 3rd best runner. His time fluctuated a little bit. He's still figuring it out. And then he finally put some spikes on him for state. But once you get a pair of spikes on you, it's a whole different race. But he was figuring out with running a 5K, I can't go out and tell him this is exactly how you're going to do it. Like with other sports, you can run an offense, you can do this, you can walk them through. It's something that each individual athlete has to kind of figure out for themselves. I can tell them certain things, but until you experience it that, maybe I went out too fast or maybe I didn't go out fast enough and try different things, you kind of have to figure it out on the go. And
Tricia on the girls' side, and how did she kind of improve throughout the year?
Yeah, Tricia, she went, her goal was to break a certain one, and I think she broke it by 1.5 minutes. That was her goal, but and that's the same thing. She started coming on really strong at the end of track season. And I look for good things from her next year. Her and Greta will be our seniors next year, and they'll be great. They're great leaders with those kids.
Well, we mentioned Trevor and Jack on the boys' side captains. Greta and Cadence, I think, going to be with the girls.
Right.
And being a captain is more than just having a C or anything. It's a leadership thing, and I think knowing these 4 individuals, they're those types that will be those leaders, won't they?
Yeah, they try to get the athletes together during the summer, and they try to encourage younger kids to come out for the sport. And it's not that they always have intense workouts in the summer. It's just getting together, doing a few things, hanging out, and different things like that.
Well, now the next is the track season, because now we'll take a little bit of time off and then get ready for track season, which I know you help out with the track season, and it'll be here quick. Trust me.
Oh yeah, that's true.
The indoor season will be here quicker than we expect. But Deb, again, appreciate it. Congratulations on another great year for Highlander cross country, and look forward to having another name put up on the board in the office there under All State with because now it was 2021. Greta was an All-Stater,
Right.
so it had been a couple of years since the Highlander girls have had an All-Stater. So a successful season for cross country for
Yes.
Valley City.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. Thank you much.
Yep, thank you.
Deb Ilke joining us from the Highlander cross country team. We'll be back and have more of our Coach's Corner here from the Hack on the Highlander Activity Network. Back here on Coach's Corner in the Highlander Activity Network, and we've been talking about postseason. Well, postseason's coming up for Student Congress as the state competition is coming up this weekend in Bismarck. And we are joined by Coach Madison Yoder and Abby Wilmus joining us. And I guess, Abby, we'll start with you. Because I know when I had Madison on a while ago, I had her kind of describe Student Congress. Now, as a student, kind of describe what Student Congress is.
Basically, you go and you get this set of resolutions in the beginning of the season, and it's split into 3 different tournaments. And then you basically research those resolutions, make speeches, and then the day of competition, you go and you debate against other people on those resolutions.
After doing it, politics in your future?
I don't know. I really like politics, but I don't know if I'll go into it, but it's something that I very much enjoy a lot.
You can see her being a political science major when she gets to that point, deciding on her future. Well, Madison, now let's talk about the season. You've had 2 or 3 meets here, getting ready now for state competition. How have things gone this year?
I think they've gone really well. You know, we've had a lot of engagement with the kids we have, and our team's a bit smaller than it has been in the past, but the kids are working hard, and they want to be here, and I want to be here because they want to be here, and I think it's been good.
I think when we talked before, Student Congress, a lot of it is just getting ready for the speech season, which comes up in January is when you kind of get going for speech. So is that kind of something too, the kids in the back of their minds, this is preparing us for, is that, you're nodding too, is that kind of your thought too, Abby? You're getting ready for the speech season.
Yeah, it's something definitely it's all in the back of our minds, especially with a little smaller team. It's all kind of just silently in the back of our minds, kind of thinking, what can I do? How can I get ready? And when state's over, then it's kind of full on right away, kind of. So yeah, it is for sure in all of our back of our minds.
Well, now, but speech and Student Congress, I'll give this to you, Madison, they're two different birds, though, aren't they? They're two entirely different, the way you prepare, the way you present. So they are two different kinds of entities, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. A lot of our kids use Student Congress as kind of like writing preparation for speech season. So it's writing heavy, it's persuasive writing, and a lot of kids use those skills in their speeches, in how they speak them and stuff like that. But yeah, totally two different things that we got going on.
Because you have resolutions you're working on, and of course you have categories when you get into speech. Now, I know speech is a ways away yet, but what categories are you kind of going to be in?
I usually do quite a lot, and I usually alter, but I like mostly impromptu, extemp, persuade, serious duo, storytelling, and inform. Those are kind of like the ones I do.
And that sounds like Student Congress. It sounds like some kind of stuff you would have to do in Student Congress, isn't it? The persuade and informing people on that. Now, as we get ready for this weekend for the state competition, Madison, what do you do? What are they getting ready for? Do they know what they're doing as far as the resolution? What are they doing to get ready for this weekend?
Yeah, so they're finishing up some research and speeches on their resolutions. They have 5 of them to compete over the 2 days of the tournament. And they're finishing their speeches, they're collecting research so they can write more speeches in their chambers once they hear their competitors speak. I think it's just a lot of preparation. Some of it's mental as well, because they're long days. I think the first day they compete for about 5 hours, and then the next day it's 4, I think.
Okay.
So it gets really long, you got to be mentally tough to sit there and listen.
Listen, and then, because is it kind of nerve-wracking waiting?
I'm very a nervous person.
Okay.
So I've always been really, really nervous until I give my first speech.
Okay.
And after my first speech, I'm usually like pretty into it. But it's a little nerve-wracking being, especially at state, seeing everyone and being able to walk in there and just have that mindset.
And this is on the Capitol grounds in Bismarck?
In the Capitol building, yeah.
In the Capitol building. So being a political person, does that kind of intrigue you a little bit?
Yeah, it's fun. I enjoy it. I think it's really, really cool. And it's just fun to be around that atmosphere and feel like you're actually doing something with congressional. I think it makes it a lot more meaningful too.
So do you think maybe you could, lobby for, with some of those politicians, just kind of rattle their cage a little bit about certain things?
Maybe.
Something interesting, actually, all of the students' chambers will have live microphones in them, so any of the legislators in the building can tune in or out if they choose to. So we've had people listen in before, and we've had people try and walk into the governor's office, and that's definitely not allowed. But they know that. They won't do it.
They won't do it. Yeah. That's a no-no.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting that the congressman can listen in on this, because maybe they should get some pointers on how to address people with this. But they don't offer any advice, do they?
No, they don't.
They probably can't.
No, and they can't speak back to them. Just listen in on the
Just listen in.
Yeah.
Very interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah.
That they can do that. But do we know what the resolution is? You said there's 5, right? Or there's 5 different resolutions. Do you have an idea? You don't have to be specific, but do you have an idea what they are?
Yeah, so you want me to like list them, but like so like we have one about certain like immigration laws and like restricting them. Then there's a bill for worker tariffs and an obstruction of highways, a moon to this it's a weird one, but to like have some settlement on the moon. And then yeah, it's a weird one. I've been saving that one for last, but let's see, what is the other one I'm forgetting?
So it sounds like they have legit and non-legitimate
Yeah,
type
there's
of
some that are
resolutions.
very real, and
Right.
there's some when you read the packet, you're like, where did this come from?
Yeah.
Where did this idea start? But it's kind of tough because you have to debate them either way.
Okay.
But yeah, that's kind of like the main ones.
You don't pick which one. It's all 5, correct?
No, so the students actually the year before write the resolutions.
Okay.
And then they get passed into the coaches to make sure they're appropriate, and then they select them by ranking them.
Okay.
So the top rank ones get competed at state. So
Okay.
we've got some of childhood imagination with the moon settlement one.
Yeah.
But it's still fun for them to talk about. They get to research like the resources on the moon and stuff like that. But there are the more legitimate type
Yep.
ones with the foreign affairs and the lending money, loaning money, stuff like that.
Okay.
So it's a little fun sometimes.
How long have you been doing that?
I've been doing this for 4 years now.
4 years?
Yes.
You was junior or sophomore?
Sophomore.
You were a sophomore. So
Yeah.
Okay, so you've been going since 7th grade.
Yes, I've been going since 7th grade. I didn't think I would be going still as when I was a little 7th grade. I didn't think it was something I would be doing right now.
Right.
But I've ended up really, really enjoying it, and now it's kind of like part of my primary focus. So yeah.
And you'll be doing speech, obviously, in the winter as
course.
well. 'Cause
Yes.
Going through that. Think about it. A lot of, even like Maddie Clable, who was the speech coach, I know she said, 7th grade, I didn't think I'd do anything like this. Does it surprise you how well you've done and how much you've enjoyed it?
Yeah, it has. I never really thought of myself as a speaker. I like politics, but my dad likes politics too. So it was just kind of like something I thought that was just genetics. I just like it too. And I just kind of joined because one of my friends was in it and I felt bad actually saying no to him. So I joined, and my 7th grade year, I think I finaled my first meet. And I was like, oh, like I'm actually good at this. And 8th grade, then I qualified for state, and so ever since then I just keep on seeing this continued success that keeps surprising me and gains new opportunities, and I just keep on wanting to get more and more and just get better and better at it.
Get greedy at it.
Yeah.
I like that. That's good. That's good. Now, I know at speech there is nationals. Is there anything as for student congress or not?
Yeah, there is. So we'll be taking both of the school's vans with us, and so the first state is over 2-day competition. So after state is over, the next day is the national qualifying tournament. So we'll send one van home with the kids who don't want to compete or are too young to compete, and then the other one we will stay and compete back to back again on new legislation and everything. So.
How about you? Going to try that?
No, I'm not doing national qualifiers this year for student congress. I for sure will be going for speech.
Right.
But my sister actually has a volleyball tournament.
Okay.
So I kind of want to make it to that because I've not had the opportunity to watch a lot of her games.
Sure. Yeah.
And it was a little kind of crazy last time I went, so it's something I'm more than happy to sit out on.
And being as a sophomore, you got plenty of time.
Oh, yeah.
You got plenty of time to do
Yes, of course.
All right. Well, that is great. Well, good. It starts, is it Friday, Saturday?
It's
Or is it Thursday, Friday?
Thursday,
And then is it
yeah.
Thursday, Friday, then Saturday is the national qualifier? So
yeah.
it is kind of a 3-day for those that are going to stick
Yeah,
around.
yeah.
So tomorrow, it is tomorrow. Yeah, it is
Yes.
tomorrow. Tomorrow and Friday for the state competition. Well, hopefully we are talking about some maybe state champs or maybe, doing well.
Yeah, you never know, really.
Right. And there's no really goals, really, Madison. It's just kind of go out there and enjoy and have fun. And because like we talked about, this is getting them ready, a lot of them, for the speech. So it's just go out and see what happens.
Yeah.
Is that kind of your philosophy too?
Yeah, yeah.
Let's just see what happens and have fun. Enjoy it, and maybe talk to a politician and tell them what they're doing wrong. I mean, I didn't say that. This is not a political show. But guys, again, appreciate you stopping by. Congratulations so far, and hopefully we'll have you again in the next week or so and talking how you did at the Student Congress. Appreciate it. Thank you. Madison Yoder and Abby Wilmos joining us from the Valley City Student Congress. Their state competition this weekend in Bismarck. We'll be back and wrap things up here at Coach's Corner on the Highland Activity Network. Back here on Coach's Corner on the Highlander Activity Network, and a couple of sports that we haven't had a chance to talk about today. Of course, football wrapped up their season here on Friday night as the Highlanders fell to Fargo North by a final of 41-7. So their season wraps up with a 4-6 record, and hopefully get Coach Engen on next week and kind of talk about those seniors. And I know he'd mentioned it earlier this year to try to get the seniors on, and every week he brought a different senior to chat on the show. So we'll hopefully wrap up the football season here next week. Football players continue this Friday. Fargo North and West Fargo Horace, one semifinal, the other semifinal Grand Forks Central and Jamestown. And also state competition going on in swimming and diving in North Dakota. And of course, with the Jamestown Blue Jays, we have 3 Highlanders that are on the swimming and diving team: Tori Nelson, Chloe Nelson, and also Sophie Gilbertson on the Jamestown Blue Jays. And Gilbertson and Chloe Nelson will be competing this weekend at the state competition. They will be in relays this weekend. I have to thumb through my numbers to make sure I get it correct. It'll be the girls 200 free that will be one of the relays. Also the girls 200 medley relay, and that is the one that Chloe Nelson will be a part of. And the 400 free, Sophie Gilbertson, who's just a 7th grader from Valley City, and they'll be competing at that. So good luck to the Jamestown swimming and diving team. They're at the state competition this weekend, and that too is going on in Bismarck. Well, we have got coming up next week our first basketball game of the season, junior high girls basketball. That will be against Central Cass on Tuesday, and that'll be our next broadcast on the Highlander Activity Network. Of course, the following night we'll have Coach's Corner on the 8th, and talking more, wrapping up the fall sports season and getting ready for the winter sports season here when we chat next week. And also coming up, I believe there's a second grade program coming up here tomorrow, and the 2 o'clock matinee is the one that you can see on the Highlander Activity Network over at Jefferson. And Sarah Larson, who is the music instructor over at Jefferson, will be the director there. So that music program coming up tomorrow at 2 o'clock at Jefferson Elementary, the matinee for the second grade music program. Well, it's going to wrap things up here on tonight's Coach's Corner, and my thanks to our coaches joining us here tonight: Madison Yoder, Rebecca Erickson, and Coach Deb Bilke, and of course Abby Wilmos joining us from Student Congress. And as usual, my thanks to Brian Krewald, our cameraman and technical director tonight. We'll be back again next week, 6 o'clock, Coach's Corner here at the Hack, right here on the Highlander Activity Network.